Hi, Chazz Palminteri here. This is the first Monday, and I'll be doing my podcast on every Monday from now on. Monday's kind of those down days where you just wake up and you know you got to work for a week. Check me out. Come to my podcast and my YouTube channel and, hear what I got to say about some fun things. First thing I'm going to do is I just want to let you know that so many people have been talking to me about Bronx Tale. I mean, I know I've done 60 movies, but Bronx Tale is always the one they always talk about. So a lot of people don't know, maybe not a lot of people, but some people don't know that Bronx Tale was a one-man show first, where De Niro came to see the one-man show, and that's how Bronx Tale happened. I mean, it's the story that I have been saying so many times that I was working in clubs as a bouncer in L.A. I left New York. I was working in New York, but then I left and tried my luck out in L.A. And I was there for a little while. I got on like a show called Hill Street Blues, if you remember that, and Dallas and Matlock. And I was guest starring on a lot of those roles. And all of a sudden, as anybody, you run out of money. And I ran out of money, and I said, what the hell am I going to do? So I started working as a doorman. As a bouncer. I used to box, so could handle myself okay. So I was working there, and one night I was working at this club called 2020, a real swanky club. And this guy comes over, and his name is, I won't tell you his name right away, but he wanted to get in. And he was really rude to me, So I said, hey, man. I said, just take it easy. He goes, this is my party, and you got to let me in. So I said, just relax. He goes, do you know who I am? And I said, yeah, you're the guy who's not getting in tonight. So he looked at me. He was really pissed off. He didn't tell me his name. He said, you will be fired in 15 minutes. I said, yeah, right. Come on, get online, So what happened was 15 minutes later, the owner came out because he happened to call the guy. And the owner came out and said, Chazz, do you know who this is? I said, no. He goes, that's Swifty Lazar, and it's his party. And Swifty Lazar was the biggest agent in the world at the time. And I just told him that he couldn't come in to his own party. So just like he said, I got fired. I drove back. I left the club in Beverly Hills, and on my way back to my dumpy apartment in Hollywood, and I was driving my 1972 Honda with a big dent on the side where there was a little hole in the radiator that kept leaking water, and I would pray that I would make it back and forth because I always would have to fill it up with water, So I got back home and to this apartment, a real shithole, and I stayed there. And I said, "What am I going to do?" I sat on the edge of my bed and I said, "Well, I can't go back to New York. I had $200 in the bank, so I just kind of looked up and I saw this card. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent." My father wrote that on a card, and he said, "Always keep this with you." He goes, "Never waste your talent." I looked at that and I said, you know what? If they won't give me a part, I'll write one myself. So what I did was I went to Thrifty Drugstore on the corner, got 5 tabs of yellow paper, the good luck yellow paper. I got my magic marker and I started mapping out a show. So I started writing about the killing that I saw when I was 9 years old. Just like you saw in the movie and the one-man show and in the musical. That killing is exactly the way it happened. And I didn't rat on the guy, and that's how was my relationship with the wise guys. Anyway, I did the show in L.A., and it just exploded. My whole career just exploded. And I got offered $250,000, and I thought I said, great. I said, but I want to play Sonny, and I want to write the screenplay. And they said, no, forget that shit. No, we want to get a star for the role. And I said, well, wait a minute. It's my story. It's my life. And they said, well, this is the way, we have to get a star for the role. And we have to get an A+ writer to write the screenplay. And I said, no, I didn't do it. So I went back and I started doing the show, and the lines kept getting bigger. We had to move into a bigger theater because the crowds were getting so big. We moved into a theater. We left West Coast Ensemble and we moved into Theater West on Cahuenga Boulevard in L.A. And I did the show there, and we were packing the place every night. I think it's 300 people, if I'm not mistaken. Every night we were packing the place. Finally, everybody came to see it. Nicholson came, Pacino came, all these stars came. I remember because Burt Reynolds came. Everybody came because they wanted to play the role of Sonny. And a lot of directors came. They wanted to direct it. A lot of screenwriters came because they wanted to write the screenplay. It was crazy. I mean, the last time something like this happened was Stallone when he did Rocky, obviously. And I have to say that Sly was really great because I was doing a movie called Oscar with Sly, and we became friends. And I told him, you know, I'm doing what you did. I'm trying to do it. And he said, you know what? He was very nice to me. He said, if you really believe in it, then stick to your guns. And I want to shout out to Sly and say thank you for that. And he was always a gentleman and a good man, and smart too, smart as anything. So, but anyway, he did it first. So I said, well, if he could do it, maybe I could try it. And I kept doing the show, and I wouldn't give in. And finally, it went up to $250 to $500 to $1 million. It got up to $1 million. And I'll never forget it because I signed with William Morris at the time. My agents were Lee Cohen and Fred Westheimer. And I sat down at a big table like this, and we sat down, and the guy said to me, he had a piece of paper, and he put it across the desk, and he said, if you sign that paper, you'll have a check for $1 million tomorrow. I said, $1 million? Now, you got to remember, folks, I have $200 in the bank. I said, $1 million? Wow. So what I did was I said, is there a bathroom around here? He said, yeah, right over there. So I walked into the executive bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, and I washed my hands. I looked at myself, and I said, what are you going to do, Chazz? And I put my hand in my pocket, and I took out the card that my father gave me. For some reason, I took it with me on this one meeting. I don't know why. What made me take it? Divine intervention? I don't know. And I looked at the card and said, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And I said, fuck it. I'm not going to do it. No. I walked back out, and I said, you know what? I said, I will sign that paper, but I play Sonny, and I write the screenplay. They looked at me and said, Chazz, I'll never forget, his head just went down. He said, Chazz, we can't do it. Nobody knows you. You're not a star. We can't make a movie this big with an unknown. And I said, well, you're going to have to, because I'm not giving it in. I'm not doing it. And I was about to walk out, and he said, Chazz, you know, if you walk out of here, this check won't be here when you get back. I said, maybe you should get it right now. I said, well, it's cheap because the price just keeps going up. And he said, this movie will never get made. And I said, you're right, it won't with you, but it will get made. And he said, why is that? I said, because it's too damn good. That's why. And I walked out the door, and then 2 weeks later, I was doing the show, packed houses, and I just finished doing the one-man show. And my stage manager walked over to me and said, Chazz, Robert De Niro is waiting for you in the dressing room. You just saw the show. I said, Robert De Niro? He said, yeah. So I walked down to the dressing room, and there was Bob sitting in the corner, sitting there, And I was like so excited to meet him. I didn't know him. I never met him before. And he said, man, that's one of the greatest one-man shows I've ever saw. He goes, how the hell did you do it? That's fantastic. You played all the parts. You did the movie on stage. I said, yeah. He said, look, I know what's going on in Hollywood. Everybody wants to do it, He says, and sooner or later, they're going to come to me anyway if you sell it. So here's what I want to do. He said, you play Sonny, you'll be great. You should write the screenplay because it's your life. It'll be honest. I'll play your father, and I'll direct it. And that's the way it'll be if you shake my hands. And he goes, because I'll make it right. And I shook his hand, and that's the way it was. And that's how the whole thing started. So it's an incredible journey how this whole thing started. And the reason why I'm telling you how it started, because you'll see on my next podcast, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you actual clips of the one-man show that I did back in 1989. Oh, boy, I was a young man back then. Almost 30 years ago. I'm going to show you the clip, and then I'm actually going to show you a clip from the movie. So you're going to see the clip from the one-man show, the play, on this side, and you'll see the clip of the movie on this side. And I'll explain to you how it all grew and how this whole thing happened. It's an amazing story. And each week, I'm going to talk about Bronx Tale for the first few podcasts. And then I'm going to break down all my movies. I'm going to break down Bullets Over Broadway and The Perez Family, Jade. I'm looking at my posters in my office here. Diabolique, Usual Suspects. Oh, my God. So many great movies I'm going to break down. Also, I'm going to talk about the business. A lot about the business, about people who just wanting to be a writer, an actor, a director, a producer. So we're going to have a lot of fun on my podcast. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about my movies. But especially in the beginning, we're going to talk about Bronx Tale and how all this happened. So I just want to say, I want to welcome you all to my channel. And every Monday, I'm going to be posting a new video and a new podcast. And welcome to my channel. God bless. Thank you.